Right.
Tell about the other
That's a
one.
me thing.
Oh, it's so funny. That was,
Please do.
Okay, wonderful.
Sexist, it's blocking the ladies.
It is.
I'm
Wonderful.
very happy with that. Thank you.
Good
Thank you
evening,
so
everyone.
much.
It is now 5:31. I'd like to call to order the March 4th meeting of the Board of Architectural Review. Our first applicants this evening is 36 East Lake Road. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Andrea Buckingham.
A pleasure.
met you The last time around. So first I'll just go through the changes that we did to the structure of the plan, and then we'll go into the landscaping. So the first thing we did in the entryway, we added this cobblestone courtyard, and in an effort to sort of balance out the front of the house, which I felt like it was, first of all, we had a big grade change of 3-foot drop to this garage bay. So before there was nothing shown, but there was obviously going to be an issue getting into the garage bays. So I wanted to soften and have match both sides of the driveway as it pulls up to the front and accentuate that with the cobbles. And then I'm using a small 2-foot wall, so it'll be 0, and that'll be highest point will tie into the corner of the house down on the garage level of Hilburn granite. And then this way, we're going to be able to frame the house with the landscaping and create more of that formal Mediterranean look. And then pulling away the driveway allows me to make this a softer incline, and then down to the garage bays. They're going to use these garages for their sports cars, so I made it so that you could do a 20-foot radius turning so that they could go out in either direction of the driveway. On the north side of the house, there's a 30-inch drop from the garage floor to the basement floor, so we had to accommodate that. There originally were the 3x3 steppers, and I felt like we needed to sort of make it bigger where you enter. So I sort of changed the pattern. It would still be granite, but a random rectangular pattern, which was going to be present in the back terrace anyway, to sort of widen it and then bring it to a convergence. And I love using circles and transition points because it's such a graceful way of going from one point to the next. So we'll have a low wall, 18 inches high on the driveway side. It drops down to 30 inches on the bottom side. We have 3 steps down. And if you look at the lighting plan, this is sort of the effect that we're going to do. We're going to have, instead of 2 steps down to the intermediate landing, we have 1 step down. And I'll go over the lighting, but this is just the kind of effect that we're going to do. Very simple lighting in the ends of these cheek walls. And the walls, again, will be Hilburn granite. In this case, I'm not going to do any cap. I just feel like we want to understate that. So the stepping stones through this terrace or the area with the arbor, we're going to keep with 3x3 steppers, but I'm including a lot of planting bed here. Before it was all crushed stone with the steppers. So now you're going to have the steppers with a consistent edge of a 6-inch reveal of crushed stone on, as joints between and on the edges with a nice steel edging. In the back here, the utility area, we finally got the full layout. So this is exactly what the air conditioning unit and generator layout's going to be. So as opposed to on the original site plan, there was a curved sort of wall or a fence. Now we're going to use more of a 6-foot high barrier to sort of box it in, tie it into the pier that was already on the corner off the house, and then take it around because we need a certain amount of airflow around the units. And I think, having a solid base and then using that sort of square lattice sort of brings in the concept of the square steppers. Then as you transition into the back, again, I sort of just broke up the pattern with this random rectangular stepping stones as opposed to continuing 3x3s, which I think sort of gives it a graceful entry to the main terrace. So this stayed exactly as it was. The only difference is originally there were only going to be 2 lights. And I feel like since this is an entire area that functions as one, we're just going to add lights at the end piers as well. It's the same French Quarter Volo lights that were spec'd. Then this area was all crushed stone originally. There were some 3x3 steppers off of the basement cabana area. Now I'm doing a pathway with 3x3s and connecting it with that pattern into the cabana because they wanted to have shore footing from this terrace to the pool area. And then I'm doing a secondary pathway that will be just crushed stone, and that's really just an access path. There's the door that goes for storage underneath the landing of the stairs. And then if, anyone wanted to bypass going from the pool area, they could go through there. The pool patio, the only difference is that it used to be 3x3 steppers and it wasn't shown correctly with, a true coping. So now I'm showing a true 14-inch wide coping. There's an automatic cover, so it has to have that 2 foot wide cover cap, all Pilgrim granite. And now I'm just changing the pattern a little bit with 18x36-inch running bond. I think it works better. And then we have these 3 areas that bleed into where you have lounge areas, but now I have an ability to have planting all the way around it. The patio underneath the existing arbor is going to be the same random rectangular that was already stated in the existing plan. The big change is the steps off the back of the pool. I felt like you felt like a caged-in animal in the old plan. It was very tight, and you had state, and then stairway straight down. And what I wanted to do is, the beauty of Tuxedo is being connected through nature, being connected to the lake and to the natural environment. So now instead, if you look at this elevation out here, it's sort of the opposite way out, you might be looking from the lake. So this is the utility side that we just went through. This is the main terrace with the center, which is here. And you see the 4 piers with the lights. And then here's the pool area. So now instead, you're going to have a very nice wide opening of 12-foot wide steps. They go down 5 steps to a landing. Right here, there's a seat wall that curves around this landing, and then you either turn to the south and go down 5 steps, and that takes you out to the property. You can go to the tea house or the boat house, or you go the 6 steps down to see the rest of the northern part of the property. And you can see that here. So here's the top of the seat wall. Here's the landing. I did add, originally they had 2 piers with lights again in that constricted gateway. So now I'm just adding lights on the other piers of the steps going down. But I think this is great because you could be in the pool and you literally look over everything into the beauty of Tuxedo Lake. And it's a great spot, for additional seating, just to enjoy nature. And I think it's directionally, it just gives you such a better flow. And having the curve mimics the curve over here. So I think it brings cohesion to the design. Also, we're putting the pool equipment in a bunker underneath the terrace. Originally, it was stated to be on the far south side, but obviously you can see with the grade, we couldn't get the equipment in or any headroom or ventilation. So now we have it here with access doors. The total height of the wall, I gave the grades on the plan. At the highest point, it's about 7.5 feet, which allows us to have, the correct, area for the equipment and ventilation and, access to it. But this area will all be softened with this meadowy plantings that I'll go over in a bit. Again, since the grade is sort of sloping down, and I think it's sort of nice that it slopes down towards the center a little bit more symmetrically, but just naturally it's rolling down on this side. So now I had to add an additional little boulder wall just to retain the soil on this side before that access door. And we're going to use what's native on site to do that. And then there'll be these 2 little access paths of crushed stone. The same crushed stone is up here. And then the great thing now is the pool fence. It's all pool compliant, but you're not looking at the pool fence. So it's going to tie in from the piers on each end of the steps. And then you'll have a gate, and then it ties back into the terrace, and you don't see it at all from the upper area. The only other change was, again, changing material to this random rectangular, again, in the point of convergence, and then the driveway, which we already went over. Do you have any questions so far?
Just one question.
Sure.
What cladding do you have for that wall that runs all the way across, that's underneath the terrace area?
It's all
Yeah.
going to be Pilgrim granite.
Right, like a
Yeah.
brick type, like a stone?
The
like
stone.
Right, Exactly,
But-
that
but
sort
the
of
Hilburn,
finish, right,
yeah.
all the way across, got it.
Yeah.
Like a very thick veneer or,
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
like 3 inches or?
Yeah.
2 inches.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Oh,
what
2
we
inches.
use-
I think-
it's almost wraps around the entire house,
Right,
so
yeah.
it's,
Right.
it's consistent.
Great,
Yeah.
that's good, thank you.
Seem
We can do the lighting since it's up.
2 inches?
Lighting again, we did it just really for safety and movement.
Can I ask you a question? So it specifies 2 inches. Would you be open to sort of making it a little chunkier? The veneer, the Hilburn granite.
Oh, I think.
I
it's
have to
good.
check whatever we were approved.
Oh.
I have, this isn't, the veneer's not new. I mean, it's
Yeah,
what's
I would
consistent
think
with
it's
the
4
rest.
Minimum, because the way Hilburn granite is, I don't think,
Right.
I don't think typically.
Rob, I'd have to check on what
Yeah.
what
You
was
raise a
already.
good point there, that's existing.
Yeah,
the
I didn't-
chunkier the better.
and it's
But
gonna
having
match
said
the
that,
house.
yeah, the chunkier the better.
So again, with the lighting, in the front, it's really just the light on, over the doorway. And then for safety, again, as you go into the path, I do have path lights, but they're a low path light, 18 inches high. I picked one out here, bronze, full bronze down light. So it's really just to illuminate the path, and that goes through this pathway. And the wall, again, we're doing these inset little wall lights they're only like 3 inches in circumference. And so they're just gonna light the landing. The back, again, we're relying on these lanterns, the French Quarter Pavolo lights, and again on the steps. And then just in between, we'll do the same path lights that we used over on this side. The pool will have a light inside of it. And then just for these little areas where the lounge chairs are, I used a little marker light, which I don't know if you noticed on the plan, there's a tiny, tiny light. It's less than 2 inches. It's flush in the grade, and it really is supposed to shine on the, it's more into the safety. And then in the photo, you'll do downlight for that. You're not really. So, we can look to landscape.
Before we move on, do we have any feedback on the steps? My thought was that
Oh,
I
okay.
love how that they engage with the site and pull in the boathouse, and you're able to still be co-compliant with the pool fencing. Do we have any feedback there? Okay.
Great.
The sexiest thing so far is this circular.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, that's just.
That's why we hired her.
You gotta love it.
A little Lutyens after.
Yeah, it's very luxury. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, so the landscaping, I'll start at the front. And to me, like. Relatively formal. They were crown that. Which are very fastidious, with a little bit of character. I use my box lids, right, below, with four possible box lids over here. But then I used some natives to mix it in to try to give it that,
Thank you.
to give the balance. So we have some brilliance ferns, some autumn ferns. We have some hellebores. I know they're not native, but we have some pachyra, which is a great native ground cover with yellow flowers, and we have Annabelle hydrangeas in here. And then as you transition to the secondary driveway, this becomes a little bit more softer with grasses. There's autumn moor grass, there's some alliums, there's some salvia, there's some ampsonia. So it's a little more soft and billowy, as you transition to the drive. And then I'll start on the north again. This is going to be a very shady area. It's on the north side of the house. So really I wanted to do sort of soft ground covers that create like a tapestry. So there's a lot of repeats of ajuga, and there'll be things blooming from hellebores in the spring, lungworts, and creeping natives and non-natives, but all like pretty well together. Ferns. We have another type of Annabelle hydrangea that's Husk Halo, more to hide the screening of the pool equipment here. But again, this sort of soft, billowy tapestry. Japanese forest grass is also in there. then as you transition here, I forgot to mention, I did include a new access set of stairs off the corner of this back, because I feel like you don't want to only be stuck to the one side to get in and out of the property. So this is a, slab, granite stone step, big slabs, but crushed stone, very simplistic. This side, hiding the pool equipment, besides the fence, it's going to be big drifts of natives. There's Christmas fern, there's northern sea oats, there's some aronia chokeberry, there's a really nice red buckeye tree, there's gallinia, some asters and some monarda, and a creeping Appalachian sedge. And that'll continue in this sort of meadowy area below the terrace. So again, I'm treating this lower area as very big drifts of lots of natives, so that it's, a lot of grasses. There's little blue stem, there's Spiralis, there's again, Amsonia, coneflowers, there's Baptisia. So again, this sort of amorphous sort of drifts of grasses and natives, great pollinator plants. There's mountain mint in there. There's a witch hazel to give a little bit of winter interest on the, more northern side. And then back on the terrace, this is almost more of a formalized area. So I have some boxwood bowls as to give it a little bit more depth to it. And then it's more of a Englishy kind of border. Margie has some beautiful dahlias that she's going to add to it yearly. But then it's, ladies mantle, catmint, some echinacea, green jewel, some dianthus, and again, this soft repeating sort of tapestry of colors. On the corner of the house here, I added more of a fastigiate magnolia called Genie as sort of an accent. It stays narrow and has this beautiful dark purpley flowers. And then there's hydrangeas. There's some azure geraniums, some stackies, and some grasses to sort of frame the outsides. And then as you come around, I wanted some separation from the pool and this pathway, but in a very, low, non-obtrusive way. So we'll have just a low boxwood hedge. Margie's going to do an herb garden along the steps, and then a conical boxwood at each end to give it a little bit more structure. Then the plantings in between the pads are going to be just creeping thyme. There's a dwarf stackies called minimalist betony, and there's some more grasses, some autumn more grass. I thought it'd be nice to frame the pergola with 2 trees, and since it's sort of Mediterranean, I think crepe myrtles are sort of cool, and now you can get more hardy crepe myrtles. So we're going to do that, and they're going to actually be set within the crushed stone. There's a little bit of crushed stone on the ends of this patio just for access in and out. And I put moss in between the bays so that, again, to soften, so you don't have all this hardscape. There are hydrangeas with some, I think I used this area there. To soften it along the wall here, and then some taller Molinia grasses and alliums to just give it a little bit of more color. And then on this end of the terrace, there's a big mass of lavender with some white geraniums, again, to keep it in that sort of Mediterranean feel. But then again, as we go out, towards the back, again, more of just bigger masses of these natives. Again, Amsonia, I love that plant. Purple cone flower. There's the narrow leaf mountain mint, which is another great plant. There's different types of monarda. There's sorry, I have too many names in my head.
Just point over there.
Yeah, well, you can see the palette here. So, yeah, as we move out here, I wanted to crown the outside of this because obviously if they're going to use this as their main entry point, we wanted to create some privacy for the pool area. So I framed sort of the edges with Emerald Sentinel juniper, which is a great native juniper or eastern red cedar. And then I have some crab apples in front of that with some rhododendrons behind it, and then just simple massing of ferns and a white variegated Japanese forest grass. And then for a little bit of a punch of, Diravilla, Kodiak orange, which is a great native, great pollinator plant. I have masses of that over there. And then in the front here, I'm using some limelight hydrangeas to give almost like a second tier of screening, but, soft and flowery. I added cherry tree and then a nice autumn moon Japanese maple as sort of a nice punctuation point as you go in and a focal point as you go in and out. There's some dwarf, tiny, tough stuff hydrangeas under there, some blue ice Samsonia, some epimediums. So again, this just soft, and there, grasses connecting through there. And then the last area is this area, which this is the only place we were able to get the propane tanks in. So it's fitted in, and I wanted to make it more naturalized. So I added some Appalachian spring dogwoods. Here's the electrical box. I used a red bud for that. And then I tried to use more drifts of natives. There's hay-scented fern, there's a bottle brush buckeye, and then masses of the chesnanthium, the northern sea oats, some monarda, more of the pachyra ground cover, and then some creeping raspberry, which is a great stabilizer. Any questions?
It looks fantastic. There's only, as is their wont, there's one invasive species that's snuck in.
There's always one, isn't
So,
there?
I mean, that's what they're good at.
Butterfly bush.
It's the Miscanthus sinensis.
Oh, the one?
Yeah. So that's the Chinese silvergrass that became a monoculture of the racetrack preserve, which cost us thousands and thousands of dollars to remove because it just spread. So,
Is there a native that gives that feeling?
well,
I tried to use a different one, Scout, that I seemed less invasive, but I could switch it to panicum because I have some
Yeah.
panicum in here already.
And that's native.
yeah, that's a great alternative because otherwise it just.
Yeah,
it
because I
just-
wanted a little bit of height on the side of the stairs. It's only used right here. There's two masses of it. It's only 6 plants, so.
yeah,
I
so
can-
that- But apart from that, I mean, I hate to.
If you put it in a bucket, it still becomes that way, like you
It's
could
not
plant.
invasive root wise. It's
Ah,
the seeds. It's
okay,
just-
okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking mint because that's just like all.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
no, it
got
just,
it.
it pops up all over the place. It's just, and it's still available. It's regulated now. It's not prohibited, it's regulated. So the nurseries still sell it because it's a crowd pleaser and and it just, I mean, it's all over the gardens here. Even people in the garden club have it, and it's, but that'd be great to eliminate that. But the rest is it's just dreamy. It's,
Truly.
Really
mixing a very heavy percentage of natives with the more exotics is great that you're going in that direction. So,
I really have to commend this design for the time spent in hiding all of the unsightly mechanicals, the pool equipment, the generators, especially the air conditioning units. I see beautifully lined up and out of sight where they should be. I mean, if you guys are all comfortable, I think this is a perfect example
I just
to.
have one concern, the height of the wall and the fence in the rear yard, you mentioned 7.5 feet.
For the wall, yeah, but that's really the thing driving that is that so that we can actually get that pool bunker in. And it was also, it was almost, the old house used to have stairs down and then there was a drop wall and then there was another plateau and then a drop wall. And
There's no formal wall there now, there's a
Well, nothing's
rambling
there
wall,
now.
a
Yeah.
rambling wall of stones,
Well, part of that's still there, but part of it was behind the house here.
yes.
So if you know, like this, you can see my grading lines here. So what it really did was just eliminated those two plateaus and brought it down so it's still rolling. I'm almost matching that soft roll that was here in the mid part of the
Well,
plan. And
I guess the only issue I have is any wall or fence over 6 feet in the rear and side yard needs a variance or needs to be modified, so it's a total of 6 feet. I don't know if that's possible.
well, I mean,
You're
I could
saying
put,
the wall, you're saying the wall.
the
is-
biggest problem is getting in that
Terrace, so correct?
bunker. We could, I mean, the plants are gonna hide probably 48 inches of that wall, but if we needed to, we could put soil, but the only problem is getting access into the bunker. We need that.
Well, that could just be what,
And
like,
John, would that apply in this case? It's part of the terrace connected to the house. It's a supporting structure. It's not a fence.
It's a wall and fence combination. The max height in the side and rear is 6 feet. you're saying the wall is almost 7 feet, and then there's a 4 foot, 3 or 4 foot
Yeah.
railing on top of that, so it's actually a lot closer to 11 or 10 feet.
Mm.
And that's, beyond what the code allows as far as a fence and wall on the front and, I'm sorry, on the side and rear yard. We allow 6 feet. You can get a variance, and I'm not saying they won't approve it, but it is much higher than what the code allows.
I mean, I could think of 10 other examples in the park that
Oh,
have much higher
High walls
terraces.
everywhere in the park. But, no, I'm
The
not.
VAR, the
yeah.
VAR can,
Mhm.
and write a letter to the BZA requesting that the variance is considered, consider it granted, but it's much higher than what's permitted by the state. And I wouldn't be doing my job unless.
Well, there is a hardship because you're hiding equipment, so that's a
Yeah.
legitimate
Yeah.
reason.
It is a very important point because I won't mention the other house, but there is another house in the park, and it's, a beautiful house. But then there's a big retaining wall underneath it, and it's like, oh, modern house, and it, in my opinion, which is my personal, it spoils the beauty of the house. So yes, I mean, the smaller that could be, the better, because you don't want that to be the thing that one eye or what the eye goes to, like this huge. I think we discussed it once before about this problem about that it wasn't like a Fort Knox, I think we used the word, around the house. And so, yeah, to finesse that, and I mean, that would be the ideal scenario, to get it to 6 feet, then you wouldn't have to go through the zoning and everything, and also it wouldn't be so visible.
To the engineers for that? I don't know.
But getting to 6 feet is harder because,
Well-
John, you're saying that there's also the wrought iron, and that's
Really,
included.
my only-
The total
So,
height, the BZA is gonna look at it as the total height.
With
So I almost
including-
feel like it's not an easy solve that way, so much as just, we can write a letter sort of recommending to the BZA that they approve, and that we're in support of this, and you just get the
Yeah,
certainly
because
precedent.
I mean, here I could fill it with soil, but this is my issue right here.
Right.
I mean,
I mean, it does, from here, I mean, as much, in my opinion, as much as you could fill it, because it does look like it's big, it's
well, I
pronounced,
mean,
and
this
it's
is not showing
attractive.
plantings, and again, plantings would pick
Correct.
it up almost
Yeah.
halfway.
Right.
And that's the initial planting,
Yeah.
you don't know, hopefully within. As it matures. Right.
I mean, it's not truly a fence going around the property. It's part of a terrace that's attached to your pool. I think there's certainly precedents for supporting terraces, joining houses and. The process for that would be then they need to use BCA and.
I would write them a letter to give a variance, for a, height of the fence and wall in the yard, you would apply to the BZA. And you would present plans similar to what you have now, some additional items, but mostly what you have already done. So it wouldn't be a whole lot
Yeah,
more.
I absolutely
there's
hate to have
something that this
additional
board-
requirements, especially on such a well
Is there
thought out
something
plan,
that
but
this board can
to make sure.
facilitate, or?
So I'm sorry, John, are you writing the letter or are we writing the letter?
No, I write the letter that I've
Okay.
reviewed the plans, and the fence and wall in the rear yard is whatever, 11 feet or thereabouts. I think you need a variance
Okay.
to get a permit for either 11 feet or redesign.
And
then you would go.
depending on our vote, the bar would communicate their support to the BZA for the project, and they meet once a month.
That
When is their
nothing. I
next
mean,
meeting?
If the bar wants to approve the landscaping, other
Okay,
than what's in
right,
the
right.
favor of the fence, you could do that this evening.
Yeah.
That's been noticed, and there's been no negative comments from the neighbors.
Okay.
But you can't approve anything that requires a variance. at this
Okay.
point.
When is the next BZA meeting?
It depends when they submit the paperwork. The board requires the paperwork to be in 30 days before a meeting. So, I don't know exactly when that'll be. I mean, the next meeting is the first Wednesday in April. And,
Say it's the first Tuesday in March. If we work quickly, I think we could make the April meeting.
Here's a suggestion
Oh,
that
yeah.
could help. You've got that little wall here,
Oh, the boulder wall?
the
Yeah.
boulder wall there. And maybe if there's
Well, I wouldn't even, I could just do it in soil. I wouldn't need an additional wall, I mean,
That's it.
depending on the height. So you're
Right.
saying 6 foot total, Don, for?
6 foot total. Side and rear.
Because I was just saying, if you have
So
that
I'd have
little,
to go 4 feet. That's a lot.
if you have that wall there on the other side, then the soil level could be raised up quite a significant amount, and that would
Yeah.
help mitigate it.
But again, there's gonna be a hardship because at some point.
Right.
we have to
I
go
gotta get into this, it's equipment.
And I don't know that raising it 4 feet necessarily improves the design.
No, I think it almost detracts from.
It
Because
does.
this way it's gonna blend in with the natural role of the land itself.
Okay, so I think our,
Sorry, can I?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, could I say?
Stephanie
Oh,
wants to say
of
something.
course,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, thanks. There's just three things. First of all, I'm really happy that you added those additional exit points. I've always a bit worried about that
Yeah.
aspect, so I think it's super, it's really lovely.
I want to get out sometimes. It's okay.
So that's lovely. I remember that there were some neighbors before about the visibility of the pool and that some taller trees had been promised on that pool side in the very beginning, that there'd be sort of more of a cover for the pool.
I
No.
wasn't at those meetings because the original site plan was done by the architect.
Yeah,
I think
I mean, I can, this,
there's a lot of
Right,
woods
so
here,
it's
you
enough.
know,
and
so.
around
right.
and along East Lake Road, I mean, we're gonna get there. It's just, I can't get there fast enough. But we do plan on adding more trees because we
Great.
would like to not be on display to everyone who
Right.
drives past. But
Fabulous.
for right now,
Mhm.
this is our priority, but
Okay,
that is
sure.
definitely on our to-do list and we would like
Okay.
to plant more, don't worry.
And just one final thing is, could you throw in a few host plants for butterflies?
Sure.
So
I mean,
have something to nibble? You know,
yeah,
not
I'm sure
just for
some of
the,
stuff that I have is,
just some
Yeah.
milkweeds maybe?
well, I don't think we have enough moisture and I'm
Mhm.
worried about, irrigation, they'd rather be like in a more naturally moist
Yeah.
area.
But we have a lot of area on the property
it's left
to
is
put
two
that in.
rows,
I mean, it's not like,
doesn't-
this is just right, there's
That's the
Okay.
big,
4 more acres I have to take care of.
and it's very pretty.
The meadow, you haven't planned that's stage
haven't
2,
figured
right?
that out yet.
Right.
That's
We're
it.
still being asked if we're gonna be done before the gas station. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid every social situation possible these days. So,
Yeah, just to reiterate Stephanie's point, I do remember the neighbour on this side being concerned about.
So,
um,
here?
No, this
No,
side.
The Hayes,
The Hayes, yeah.
right,
yeah.
along Cliff, right, so
Oh,
well,
you mean
they're,
across the street?
so,
Across the street,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I mean,
So-
unfortunately, they have a very high advantage to us, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
they're
I
elevated.
can't, even if I
We have,
plant,
we have if you're looking
it's
from
gonna
the
be
street.
10 years before
I
they
mean,
grow
you have
tall.
these
I mean,
trees, but I also added, cherry, a maple, hydrangeas are gonna be taller. There's, evergreens on the corner, so there's gonna be a very I don't
Yeah.
think you're gonna see any of this really.
I mean,
Realistically
is
for
there
the
something
street?
in evergreen that you could add there that, because the cherry is not evergreen and the maple isn't, that, not that you'll be swimming in the winter.
No,
time, but,
exactly. It'll be
But
covered
it's-
then.
It was a concern that,
Yeah.
we said to him, yes, we would make sure that there was
We did
sufficient.
say that.
no, and we appreciate, my only concern is I can't, I mean,
I would rather than on the circular
Yeah.
drive,
to
put it
try
on the
to
upper
do
part of
more.
the
Yes.
circular drive on that,
That's a
you
good
know, yeah.
And I have more space
Yeah,
to
but-
put bigger things
yes.
that it can mature and grow. It's
It's not
hard
fair for you to cut off, you have how many acres in front of
I
you,
know.
it's a big piece that you
Yeah.
would be cutting yourself off from.
As long as that's addressed, that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks so
Yeah.
much for that.
More effective, the
Thank
closer they
you.
come.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'll wait to hear from you for
I'll-
the.
I'll speak to that one.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
The condition?
Caveat that they get BZA approval for the variance. That would be
Yeah,
acceptable.
this could be the approval for the wall and fence on the west side of the property.
Okay, wonderful. Well, in that case, I'd like to make a motion to approve plans here. I'll list them in a moment with a caveat of the BZA giving an approval for the rear terrace fence height. I have sheets dated the 23rd of February from Andrea Buckingham. Sheets labeled L1, L4, L5, L2, and L3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And John will assist with the BZA thing. We will communicate that it was a unanimous decision from this board and that it has our support.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
again.
I'll make those 2 changes. Butterfly
wait.
and panic on me.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Wonderful. Next on the agenda, we have the Hargroves at 44 Clubhouse Road. Welcome. So welcome to join us up here if you'd like. Evening. Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you put it over? Yes. Share here. Do you guys have a copy as well, or?
Yeah, there should be a.
Welcome.
Welcome. My name is Kayleen Zico. I'm with Hudson Design, James Copeland, Hudson Design. We're presenting on behalf of Hargroves. The main purpose of this presentation is really the addition to the home. We put a lot of time and effort into developing the way that the existing porch would be transitioned into a more exterior space. So this first sheet, this room's work, or the existing site plan, and it's the existing rooftop deck and the existing covered porch. And the covered porch and rooftop deck is the main focus of our addition. So on the proposed site plans, you can kind of see how we have to put on the porch. Basically, we are removing existing covered porch. We are adding in the same footprint and then a little bit extra. This dashed line here denotes where that existing covered porch was, and then our additional square footage that's being added additional to that. So we'll go to the floor plan. I think that's a little clearer. What's going on with this one. The darkest lines are the new walls that we're supposed to add. So the idea is to extend giving them a little more entertaining space where that covered porch was, and then additionally adding to the top of the page at playroom, which that encompasses our additional square footage. What's that see so far? On the left side, the right side of the page, this is showing where our new rooftop deck is going to be, which is actually the same footprint as it is now. And then our new roof to the top of the page.
The roof deck, which height is it going to be? The height that as you step out of the or the lower height, because there's two
It's-
heights at the moment.
It'll be the upper height.
Okay.
Yep. So this page is all of our elevations, half of our elevations, comparing and contrasting. Start with the west elevation. You can see how the addition is divided into 2 masses.
Mhm.
This taller mass here has the roof deck attached on top. So that gives us a little bit of extra height, and then we decided to keep this playroom a little smaller. It is a little wider than the existing covered porches now. But it also mimics the scale of the house as it is now. The house is an L shape, where this portion is set back, and then this portion here is set forward. So in footprint, they kind of mimic that. Our playroom is set forward. Our living room is set back. So kind of trying to keep with the architectural significance of the home, kind of playing on these massing forms that already exist. Our north elevation, you can see what the like now, this relative side, and then what we're proposing to do. All of the window sizes are a play on what's already there in the home. You can see that on the next page. So, shown on the east elevation, like precedent for what we're adding to the home. Up on the top, the south elevation, you're just showing the, where the covered porch was with this dashed line, showing our rooftop deck, the railing, our steps off the front. And this page is just more perspectives, a little more information on what. We haven't discussed the exterior portion to this project. So if there's no questions, we can flip back to the site plan and discuss a little bit of that.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Everything looks really, good to me. What, these two oval windows? I'm not quite
The
following.
grills or something?
What is
These are railing pieces. It's to give the rooftop deck somewhere where you could maybe shovel snow through. Not sure if they'd be wrought iron or wood, but they're a little bit of interest in addition to the railing to get you down to that rooftop decking.
that one detail feels odd to me and a little busy, but.
It would be our rod on.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. It's something like that could be quirky and fantastically interesting and make the house look, not cookie cutter. I'm not sure this quite cuts it. Maybe it could be rejigged or something, because I love this eccentricities. I love that, but I think but it's always difficult, on a plan,
I just wish there were a better relationship between the balusters of the main, fence, for lack of a better word, and these oculi. I don't really understand the relationship.
And we're talking about these right about here in the existing, right?
Because all the other changes look very meaningful and in keeping, just to be clear. I mean, so much of it was very much attentive to the house and its history. That was the one that jumped out at me.
It jumped out at us too, I think, in the initial
Yeah.
design as well, because it's
Yeah.
different than what's there.
Yeah.
But it is, I think it gives it adds a bit of character to the house. I think it's minimal in size.
Mm.
We did discuss it at length, but decided to keep it in the plan is
If-
something so that
Yeah,
it's
it's a
not
bit of
as
a-
cookie cutter with the railing.
I agree with your comments. It's a bit of a callback to that lovely oval window that you're salvaging for elsewhere in the home that's there existing. I'm not sure if that's shown here on the plans, but from the report, almost as if you turned that and recreated the element there. No, it's interior on the board
Yeah,
build
okay.
it on here.
Right.
All right, like you reoriented it and stamped it back
Yeah.
in twice.
We can have another go at it.
I would love to see another go. It just, it doesn't have the confidence of all the other things you're proposing.
You're right about it being quirky and a fun element, though.
And I think quirky is great, but you can do quirky and do it well.
Give us another chance.
I would love to see it, yeah.
It is purposeful, but
No, I hear
We
you about
understand,
about
yeah,
the snow,
yeah.
yeah. I just wonder what other solutions might also be quirky, might also be bold, but would speak the language of what you've set up here.
yes.
We found we had to do something because this appears to have come about in a few different iterations, and it just doesn't celebrate the substance of the house.
Understood, yeah.
On
But we'll,
carry on.
well, we'll go at another.
Look, and if nothing else comes up, then you'll have gone through the exercise
Yeah.
but maybe there's a better solution.
Yes.
Maybe one raise the gap between the banister and the end of the, whatever that is. Is that the gutter or is that guttering there?
I'm confident there's
Yeah.
something.
Right.
There's another
So
way.
I would personally kind of just clean it up and lose it. To me, always the house has got such beautiful clean lines. Just personally speaking, I would just have cleanliness before quirkiness. Now, are we speaking about the steps, or is that the outside plan that you said we should?
Outside.
So the steps don't count now for this discussion, do they?
These stairs here.
Yes, so that's not part of today's discussion, is it?
It is. I'd like
Oh.
to go back to this.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Sorry,
It's okay.
The occupied.
Okay.
If whatever, John, you can opine on this. Would that be to code? The opening there seems a little bit dangerous for kids. It would have, what would be the?
I didn't really clearly look at
Come
what
on,
the
speak.
size, no more than 4 inches.
All right, okay, as long as you're aware of that.
I mean, it could be a multiple, you know,
Right.
all 4-inch openings.
Just before we lose that picture on the right, the very, the bottom right of the house, that beautiful basement's foundation stone. That's, that's what we love. So I'm always concerned when, it'd be a veneer, this stone around the base of the house you're doing, right? Is
We'd
it
like it to be substantial enough where it doesn't appear to be veneer.
great?
But sourcing a real stone foundation might not be the most realistic. But
We've
making
seen some really good veneers lately. I
Yeah.
think Rifkin is veneer, is it?
Yeah.
And that was, it's really meaty, I think 3-inch.
You can buy pallets of random irregular
Oh.
that kind of celebrate the Hudson Valley
Yeah,
glacial till. And they actually saw the back of it
nice.
so that
The
once
corners.
it's mortared,
Yeah.
there's no,
You
can't
get the feel
tell.
of a, yeah.
The issue has always been the corners, that when you get to a corner, then you actually would see, unless it's cut.
yes, if you buy a pallet, you can order
Couple
you know,
corners.
corner
They're
pieces.
notched out,
Yeah.
yeah, corner, so it
Yeah.
looks like a full stone.
Beautiful.
And what did you call it? Random, irregular?
Random irregular. I mean,
Love
you go
that.
on West Point, it's all random regular.
Right.
It looks it.
Right. That's what we don't want. Yeah, we want the irregular, quirky tuxedo park patina, because as Stephanie said, it's beautiful, the house and everything. And my same concern goes for the wall, the circular wall. I mean, you have precedents for that just down the road at the Wren's, the Dr. Rushmore's old house, the Marie Wren. There's a circular round wall, and it looks great. Whereas there are other walls. I mean, like the wall in front of you, your neighbors in front. That wall is right on the road, and it's very heavily pointed and flat. It doesn't have that pillow cut and everything. And it in my opinion, it just makes it looks doesn't look so tuxedo park like. So it's, yeah.
So with our addition, our proposed backyard, we're gonna start near the driveway here. Currently, there's an existing Bilco door going down into the basement. It's older, doesn't really go with the home, it's sometimes in the way of getting to the backyard. So the idea is to reinvent that basement staircase, tuck it next to the house, making it a little easier to get down there, out of the way of going from the driveway to the backyard. Along with that would be a new brick patio or brick walkway down to the backyard. So we have our staircase here, our brick walkway here, and then an area for some plantings.
The staircase is in that kind of existing void where there's the two windows and kind of the opening. Okay, so it's just filling that in.
Yeah, so one of the
Great.
windows would be taken away. The second would stay. The doorway would stay, obviously be drained properly, allowing for, water to not accumulate down there and get into the basement.
Good stuff.
So, and the brick walkway would continue to the new brick patio. We have our double staircase coming off of that new living room, allowing for a lot of seating outside. Another thing we have tucked in here is our hot tub, fenced from Continental Road, giving a little bit more privacy. I know Ashley and Edward are in talks with the utility company. Right now, there's a utility pole right in the way.
I saw.
The pole is not the problem, it's the guidelines coming down from it where we'd like to build. So you guys are working diligently on it.
Does that need a variance? The hot tub being right by the road.
It's considered a structure.
There's the garage right there, correct? That it's up
Yes,
against?
Yes, this is the existing garage.
I'll look into it, but it is considered a structure, just like a pool, small pool.
Even if it's part of the garage, it would be a structure?
Yeah.
Okay.
How far does it need to be from the property line?
It depends upon the size of the lot. What do you recall what your side yard setback is? It's probably close to 50 feet.
It is 50 feet, which this lot is a little smaller, but, so we have a back patio and then a front walkway to the front, door.
And the extending out of the playroom, it's quite steep. Will you have to move much soil or to?
I think enough to get the walkway in there. Right now, there's an existing walkway that's a little bit off of the existing porch, so we're coming out 2 feet, and then we probably have a 2-3 foot walkway alongside here. So there'd be a little bit of regrading that would need to happen to get this walkway in here.
It'd be quite a drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be, very important to work out what vegetation, to put there, because grass probably won't cut it.
To hold for erosion, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You can address that in the landscaping plan when you guys have one ready.
I think that's much better.
Can I ask a
Question?
question
Yeah.
about the circular wall, which is very handsome and bold? I see, or I don't see any sign of coping on, in fact, it looks very sheer.
For
and-
this wall here.
Yeah, there's another page that showed the, what's it?
We've been debating if it's a wall or a stone wall, so that would be the top of the wall, material that would be, scoping or not.
If you're intending coping, whether it's brick or stone, you're intending,
Be an option for it.
so if brick, like bluestone, if granite.
I think it'd be lovely to get the stone foundation of the house and have that be a continuation of materials throughout. Especially if you're planning to do the brick pavers for the patio, would be lovely.
If you go down to the club, now obviously it's a different scale, but on their terrace, they have these gorgeous, heavy, pillowy coping stones. If you go take a look, and I wonder if there isn't a solution where you could, on a slightly more minimal scale, right? Achieve a bit of that effect, with good definition.
Where's that?
The Tuxedo Club, it's, on the lakefront.
Oh, this is the clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at their terrace and the sort of very low walls with very gorgeous coping stones. Just a thought.
Where are the mechanicals for the hot tub? Where would you put those?
We're thinking in this fenced area here. Shown in more detail on the floor plan.
Is there any possibility of putting them in the garage so they're a little less exposed?
The garage is small, that would be something we would discuss.
If there's many units have the equipment
Yeah.
inside the deck so that it's a self-contained, and that might be the solution
I
here.
wasn't sure if you were going built-in where it needed the separate units or if it was a self-contained unit.
Well, we don't want to look at it, so we should look at maybe to make the deck part of this and use one that's has the equipment internal. We'll look into that. We placed it. We found what we thought was a good spot. But I realized that looking at the equipment.
Right. And I realize we don't have a landscaping plan, but the intention was to do kind of a privacy hedge going along. I believe that's continental to kind of give you more privacy, and it would hide that generator equipment as well.
Yeah, right now there's some plantings there, but the idea would be to bring privacy to that little private area we created for the hot tub.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that idea of not having a separate thing, because it's right on the road, so that would be probably.
Screen, I think, will help a great deal.
Hot tubs in this proximity to the road, is that we green it and we solve the other issues. That's
Well,
Variance.
It's
Well,
a
that's the
variance,
variance
yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not normally, I mean, it's a funny lot because you're on the corner, so. But hot tub right by, right on the road, it's kind of like,
It
It's
just
set
seemed,
back slightly from the garage, which is existing.
Right. So there's an existing structure.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hardship for the lot. Wherever you placed it, you're probably within 50 feet of a road.
It is all kind of contingent on moving the utility pole too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that too.
None of it will happen.
good luck.
Is
I-
it-
I
it's not
just
the
have a-
pole, it's
a
more the
question.
guy wires, or is it the pole
I
too?
mean, it's both.
I just have a question for the rest of the team. I'm concerned about the two staircases. I just feel that overall, it's kind of a built-up appearance with the wall and the two steps coming down and the grill and then different sets of steps coming up and the hot tub. I was just wondering whether it could be made somewhat less busy and kind of set. Is there any, does anyone share that view or am I the only one? It just feels a little bit stiff and kind of, well, it's a bit full and,
we had our own internal debate about that.
Yeah.
What happens in stoops or balconies like that, they tend to lend themselves for, announcements of engagement or, in the history of a family, those places have, some importance beyond just getting out the door and going and walking down. So, we're trying to treat it, as a place, as a place of importance that, and
The idea having it going both ways to capture traffic from the front entry and the back entry as well, so.
It works
it's,
from a flow
yeah.
perspective when you think of the walkways. Like one directs you to the front walkway, one directs you to the hot tub in the back.
I think
If
we'll-
you have one direction, it feels more like a conduit.
Right.
I think it's more of a statement. You have both ways.
that, center line, from the top goes into the house and lines up with the internal rooms.
My opinion on that is that in the front of the house, you have this amazing grove of rhododendrons. I hope you can expand on that because I don't want to see any of this, I mean, you don't want to see people looking at you sitting there. So to hide that as much as possible in the landscaping plan, so it'd be a moot point, as it were, that because all this fun stuff, is out of sight. But as far as the, this rite of passage idea of the stairwell, I kind of like. I can't. If it goes one way, it'd be a little bit more quirky and back to the original character of the house of different stages of being added onto, which is kind of charming. This makes it a little bit more formal, and this is what you'd see on a new house. So, but it's not a big deal for me.
The dimensions of the new playroom probably block it, the forward-facing view, the stairs at least.
Oh, you're
It
right.
seems like it's nestled behind there, so maybe you're thinking of more of a side view.
Well, as you say, the screening on this side and
Yeah.
is gonna take care of some of the.
So you just presenting this as a preliminary.
Well, this
At
is,
the moment, or-
they've made an application,
Okay.
they're notified.
Oh, they have, okay.
So it's everything except the landscape plan.
What about the windows, the new windows?
Oh,
the
yes, we
specs?
do.
the back door, is
We
there
have
more
the-
detail on
We
that?
thought we should
That's huge.
not get carried away without their input.
Uh-huh.
It can be helpful to come to us with a selection of windows, so we typically don't say, hey, you have to use this one, but do give feedback on what's presented. We typically prefer all wood windows. I believe if I'm not, there are examples on the design website. that you
For
can
example,
provide.
you should know, Mr. Copeland has presented before and he's aware of
Wonderful.
the requirement.
So
Some time ago, but I'm sure he hasn't forgotten.
so yes, we wouldn't be able to approve the windows in those without a sample we can prove the overall design, but it would be contingent on.
The door style here is a direct copy, or maybe even a reuse of the existing door that goes from the existing living room to the covered patio.
That'd be fantastic to be able to utilize that. I'm sure the R value is not what you're looking for, but maybe with the new window gain, we could use the old door and have the old meet the new. That's
That's the thought.
certainly.
Because it's important that the house has family connections with other houses in the park. Because the builder, Jones, right?
Arthur Mason Jones.
His wife was a Waldo. And so where Jill Swerble lives on Continental Road, that was her brother's house, Horace Waldo. And then the daughter married this guy called Blagden. He died, then she married his brother. And then their child married a Durham, which is a big tuxedo family. And so the Durham's father lived in the Donaghy's house, and then they're connected. The mother was connected to the Fosters. So that's and she one of them married the Delafield, Richard Delafields at my house and other houses. So there's a lot of other houses in the park that are related to this. So
There we go.
That the Durham homestead in Garrison?
yes, in Cold Spring. Most of them are buried there in that St. Philip's Church. All those Durhams, they were all here. Yeah. So
We restored that last year.
fantastic!
Ah.
Oh, it's in.
Even more incestuous, yeah.
That's
The
the
plot
word.
thickens. Or thins.
I mean, it's a beautiful one. It has a ballroom that faces west. And it had a truss inside and a faux second floor window that on both sides that just fed light into an attic space. And we were able to restore it and put the master bedroom in where the truss is using steel. It has all of the mansard, of the original, but it has now has a western view looking out to the marsh, and I mean,
What's the name of the house?
It's the Durham
Oh, the
homestead.
The Durham homestead.
He was, he 1810 is when he accumulated all the property.
Right.
Thank you for this. We understand we have some work to do. These you'll see again in a different iteration. And I understand the landscaping, you'll want to know what the planting plan.
That can be
Ashes
later.
and
That
garden
can be
later,
later,
so
though. That doesn't, that can be later.
Okay.
We
very
want
good.
to know, I mean,
Complete privacy.
We'll come back to you with some decisions about equipment, so that the hot tub is not an eyesore. Were there any other things that occurred to you that you want to see in the next go-around?
One question for Rob. Did you check the roof line? You know how we once went into a trap? Are you okay with that roof on the left? I think it's okay.
I think,
It's fine, right?
No, I hear you. I hear where you're coming from with
Just
the
had a-
question, but yeah, it seems very sensible. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From this particular perspective,
Right.
if you look from this angle, it's perfectly sensible. You wouldn't have it sloping, right? You
I-
would have the corner in it.
Yeah, I think as
Above the back-
as
above the
drawn,
playroom.
makes a lot of sense.
You wouldn't just have it coming down straight. You just have that
As a shed, in other words.
Yeah. to be parallel to the other one on the other edge on that.
Can we look at, where is the other, oh, that one.
Each
Hmm.
angle. If you
A
look on,
901.
yeah, A901 gives you a
shows
better
the-
perspective.
And
And-
this is a raised seam metal roof.
Yeah, it's hipped on the corner, and this corner of the playroom is actually set back a little bit from
Mhm.
the side of the existing house, just because it's a little bit easier to match siding at that point. You're not trying to see
Right.
together, right?
Right.
It's certainly an improvement. Is there?
Yes, there's a, you know, the hardships of the conference.
I do. Frankly,
I
I
tend-
call home
I
versus
tend to think-
the house.
Right, I was, just to your question, Stephanie, to me, this seems like the lesser evil
Okay,
as opposed to a shed.
all right, okay. I'm just pointing out because of
Do you
the
think so?
most recent
Yeah, no, I know, I hear you. Yeah.
small on the drawing, and it was much bigger in real life.
I mean, what I like about the whole, what I really like about your whole program is that it feels like a house that's been evolving and changing, and that's what houses do organically. And things are added on, and they have a small quirky feel, but it's a living house.
I feel like this complements the existing footprint so well by drawing it out rather than having the
Yeah,
flat one
I like
across and
Yeah.
mimicking the existing architecture.
I think the
Yeah.
way that the windows were mimicked too on the other sides from a style and scale perspective is really nice.
Truly. So I think in making a vote on this, we obviously, the hot tub, I think, is kind of a moot point. You need a variance and the utility pole out of the way so we can address that at a later time if you'd like to apply for the variance. We would need a sample of the windows that you intend to use, so it would be pending that. And railing detail if that's something that you choose to change, and a landscaping plan at a later date. But pending those, it's really the sample windows and the railing detail that it would be pending if we're comfortable taking a vote this evening.
Do we need,
There is one other issue. There is a lot coverage issue, which they brought to my attention that they're.
I wasn't aware of that.
6%, the 6% that you're over.
I'm on
Can you see that?
the existing grandfathered one is already
Yeah.
above the,
Including the driveways, the patio.
Becomes less concerned. So that's just one more variance. they
Yes.
need to-
Yeah. My feeling is since you need a variance for the lot coverage, then you should apply for a variance for the
Right.
lot coverage.
At the same time, yeah.
Absolutely. Variance. Coverage. Okay, well, with the lot coverage issue.
You cannot, I mean,
Well, pending
I
that.
don't want to tell you what to do, but you can't give approval for something that's in violation. You just can't give, approval for things that don't comply with the code.
And you guys are also planning to come back with some more
Right.
details. So,
well, we can tell you the yes, we will like the way you're going. Yeah.
Oh,
great,
sure.
Yeah, you're going in the right.
sure.
not
So if
going
we
off
can't do it
tangent.
then with the lot coverage issue, then I think we'd have to hold it. As much as we would like to approve the wonderful work that you're doing, I was not aware of the lot coverage issue. So BZA meeting, for that, John?
Yes. The only issue.
I have a question about the railing. If we come back with kind of just the railing as it is existing straight across, could we then still say, but we prefer this original design? And then you say, no, you can't have it. Is that how it works? Even if you look at the two, and then we could go back and still be at the same place and then get.
Right, it's a collaborative process. We're giving suggestions on what we think would be better aesthetically speaking. If you decide that you like that, it's absolutely your right to do it.
We can do better.
That's, I mean, that's what the bar's all about, to have five amazing opinions, so that, you know, that we can all throw it in, so.
Yes,
We like to
So-
pop-
So,
Yes.
yeah, no, it's a collaboration,
No,
so
it's
that.
not intended to make anyone's life difficult. It's meant to improve
Yeah.
the,
yeah,
the
absolutely,
final product.
absolutely. You beat us to it. We usually do this in the studio, so,
Yeah.
but.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
So in that case, we'll hold for now, once you guys have the lot variance coverage. So that'd be the same as the last applicant. Next day, we'll need to have it in. Okay.
On the neighbours, were there any comments from the neighbours?
Nope.
Okay. Well, in that case, we will hold the vote until next time. Apologies that we have the variance issue. Do you have any other questions or concerns for us that we didn't answer?
No concerns at all.
Okay, well, thank you guys for coming. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Okay, in that
Thank you.
case, have a lovely night. Thank you both.
This is not a payoff.
We didn't see anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
So
night, thank you.
Last item on the agenda is a review of the minutes. I did have a chance to take a look. Did everyone else get a chance?
Yeah.
Wonderful. And Desiree, I think I sent you an update to the minutes. Did you have a chance to address that?
There was a few, so
Okay.
what was the last date on that one?
The last one is Friday.
Okay. I believe I did, yes.
Okay, wonderful.
And we switched, Stefan from Megan, because it's Stefan Diaz. that attended.
Yes, I did. I changed that and I had a conversation with John about that. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
okay.
Please. Okay, in that case, I'd like to vote to approve the minutes from the updated minutes from our last meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I
Wonderful.
abstained because I wasn't present, so
Thank you. Stephanie abstaining. 4 ayes. Is there anything we need to discuss? All right. In that case, I make a motion to close the meeting. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. That concludes this meeting. Thank everyone and
thank you.
have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Desiree.